Where are you from? Drop a comment. If you loved the story, hit like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world. My name is Alex Harper, and on a quiet Tuesday morning in suburban Seattle, sunlight streamed through the tall windows of my newly purchased kitchen, casting warm golden rectangles across the polished hardwood floors. Half-unpacked moving boxes still sat scattered in the corners, filled with dishes, books, and the little pieces of a life I had carefully built from scratch. I stood there gripping a steaming mug of dark roast coffee in one hand while sorting through a pile of mail with the other, trying to hold on to some sense of normal routine in this house that finally felt like mine. A certified letter stood out from the usual junk mail and bills. Its official-looking envelope and bold red stamps made my stomach tighten instantly. I set the coffee down and tore it open, my fingers already trembling. The world seemed to stop the moment I read the heading: Edward and Marlene Harper versus Alex Harper. My own parents were suing me. The coffee mug slipped from my numb fingers and shattered on the floor, dark liquid spreading across the grout lines like spilled secrets. My hands shook as I scanned the legal papers. The demand was clear and brutal in stark black text: immediate transfer of the property deed and $300,000 in damages. My parents wanted my house, the first major purchase of my life, and a massive payout on top of it. Just 2 weeks earlier, I had stood in this very kitchen signing the closing papers on my $412,000 home. The real estate agent had smiled wide as she handed me the keys. "You did this completely on your own, Alex. That's something to be really proud of." That night I celebrated alone with takeout Thai food and a bottle of champagne I'd been saving since my big promotion at the tech firm last year. I wandered through the empty rooms, mentally placing the furniture I had budgeted for months, imagining how each space would finally be irrevocably mine. "Look at this, Grandpa," I had said during our video call later that evening, panning my phone around the living room. I actually did it. His eyes had filled with pride. "You sure did, kiddo. You sure did." The first warning sign came right after I announced the purchase. My parents' faces on FaceTime looked tight and uncomfortable. My sister Brooke hovered in the background of their living room, her designer handbag dangling from her arm. "How many bedrooms?" Mom had asked, her smile brittle. "3, I answered. "And a nice backyard. That's quite a purchase for someone your age," Dad said, his jaw tightening. Brooke leaned into the frame, her perfectly highlighted hair falling forward. "Must be nice to have that kind of money to throw around." Mom's eyes darted to her. "You know your sister's been having a rough time lately, Alex." I should have seen the red flags then, but nothing could have prepared me for the ambush that came a week later. "We need to discuss a family matter," Dad said in his business tone, the one he used for firing employees. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "We've always put family first, haven't we? Always supported each other." Dad continued, "Your sister needs stability more than you do. She has plans for that house, creative plans. You can keep renting." I stared at them in disbelief. "This is my house. I worked for it. Brooke can earn her own. Don't be selfish," Mom snapped. "Family helps family." The certified letter arrived the next day. As I read through the documents now, my throat closed up. Aunt Victoria's name appeared as the financial backer of the lawsuit. An email from Brooke was attached as evidence, claiming I had stolen her opportunity. The demands were spelled out in cold legal language: transfer the property deed to Brooke Harper, continue making mortgage payments for 18 months, pay $300,000 for child rearing costs, and issue a written apology for damaging family trust. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I dialed Grandpa's number. He answered on the first ring. "They've gone too far this time," he said after I explained everything, his voice hard with anger. I spent the next hour researching attorneys, my heart sinking at retainer fees that started at $10,000, money I didn't have after the down payment and closing costs. That night I sat alone in my new home, surrounded by boxes I hadn't had the energy to unpack. Tears threatened but never fell. In their place, something stronger took root: pure determination. They wanted my house, the one I had spent 15 years saving for while they bankrolled Brooke's endless failed ventures. The home I earned through countless overtime shifts, skipped vacations, and ruthless budgeting. Let them try. I stood up and walked to the bedroom window, looking out at the quiet tree-lined street below. This was my home, my achievement, my line in the sand. They had made their choice to attack what I built. Now I would make mine to defend it. I spread financial documents across my dining room table the next morning, morning sunlight casting long shadows between tall stacks of bank statements and tax returns. My laptop screen glowed with an open spreadsheet, 15 years of my financial life reduced to neat columns and careful formulas. The numbers told a story my family never wanted told. I flashed back to age 16, making $5.25 an hour at Sunrise Coffee. Tips were split between 3 baristas. I could still smell the burnt espresso and feel the ache in my feet after 8-hour shifts. "You're missing Brooke's Sweet 16, Mom had texted that night. The DJ alone cost a fortune. I watched the party unfold on social media between customers, my sister in a custom pink dress surrounded by floating lanterns and a chocolate fountain. It cost roughly 3 months of my wages. My fingers traced down a column of community college receipts. Night classes after work. Textbooks bought used. Every meal budgeted down to the dollar. Dad's voice echoed from that time, an accounting certificate. It's not even a real degree. The memory of my 18th birthday surfaced, not the small celebration, but the argument that followed. "What do you mean you won't fill out the FAFSA?" I had asked, clutching university application papers. "You're an adult now," Dad said flatly. "Time to stand on your own 2 feet." A week later, I found a cheap apartment listing for $100 a month. Roaches included. That was the real start of my independence. Back in the present, my phone buzzed. Mom's number. I let it go to voicemail. "Sweetheart," her message quavered, "we've always given you both exactly what you needed. Why are you being so difficult about this?" I pulled up my email and found Dad's response to my emergency root canal 4 years ago. Figure it out. Right below it were bank statements showing $2,000 transferred to Brooke that same week for creative supplies. Brooke's Instagram feed told its own story: semesters abroad in Paris and Rome funded by our parents. Art supplies that cost more than my monthly rent. Meanwhile, my student loan statements marched on endlessly. $47,000 in debt. Every single payment made alone. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," Dad's latest email warned. I deleted it without replying. Another voicemail popped up. "Aunt Victoria this time. You selfish girl," she spat. "After everything this family has done for you." I researched her history online and found foreclosure records from 5 years ago, the same year she moved into Mom and Dad's guest house. The pieces clicked into place. She wasn't just backing their lawsuit. She was looking for her own safety net. A quick social media search showed Brooke's latest crisis, an eviction notice from her creative studio apartment 3 weeks earlier. The timing lined up perfectly with the lawsuit. The doorbell rang, startling me. Grandpa stood on my porch carrying a weathered cardboard box. "Thought you might need these," he said, setting it down. Inside were decades of family financial records, meticulously organized. "They did the same thing to your cousin Marcus," he explained, settling into a kitchen chair. "When his auto shop finally started turning a profit, they tried claiming he owed them for family investments." My phone lit up with a text from Marcus 10 minutes later. "Heard about the lawsuit. They tried taking my shop when it finally got out of the red. Don't let them win." An hour later, a knock revealed my next-door neighbor, Mrs. Chen, holding a potted plant. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said warmly, even though she had clearly heard about the family drama. "My old high school boss from Sunrise Coffee emailed too," said he. "Remembered that Employee of the Year award and would be happy to write a character reference. The support strengthened me for the wave of attacks that followed." Another certified letter threatening liens. Brooke's tearful Facebook posts about her heartless sister, and calls from my parents' country club friends lecturing me about family duty. Aunt Victoria's silver. Mercedes cruised past my house multiple times a day, her phone raised to take pictures. My supervisor called about an anonymous complaint regarding my character. I spent my lunch break filing a motion to dismiss, using every scrap of legal knowledge from late-night research. The court clerk raised her eyebrows at my pro-assy filing. "This is surprisingly thorough," she said, stamping the documents. The preliminary hearing was set for next month. I requested unpaid leave from work, ignoring my boss's worried frown about personal distractions affecting performance. That evening, I sat on my new porch swing, watching the sun paint the sky in fiery shades of orange and pink. The scene triggered a memory teenage me walking this same street, admiring these houses and promising myself I would earn one someday. "You're dreaming too big," Mom had said then. Maybe I was, but I did it anyway. A young family walked past, kids laughing as they chased fireflies. I thought about the locksmith coming tomorrow and the security system being installed next week. I wasn't just protecting a house, I was fortifying my boundaries. They say blood is thicker than water, but I was learning that some family ties are actually chains. Sometimes love means standing firm, even when it hurts. Sometimes independence comes at a price worth paying. Next week, the church bulletin from my parents' congregation lay crumpled on my kitchen counter, its letterhead stark against the rest of today's mail. 3 more prayer requests expressed concern for my wayward path and hardened heart toward family. Added them to the growing pile of evidence. My phone buzzed with another social media notification. Brooke's latest Instagram story showed her tearfully holding our childhood photo album. "Family means supporting each other no matter what," the caption read. "Broken heart. Family first." The timestamp showed 3 a.m. prime posting hours for maximum sympathy. I pulled up my financial tracking spreadsheet, the one I had maintained since my first dishwashing. Job at 15 at Mike's Diner. I could still feel the pruned fingers and aching feet from scrubbing plates until midnight while my classmates planned homecoming outfits. May, the kind manager, used to say, "You're building something, kid. Keep those records clean." Each cell in the spreadsheet told its own story. $6.25 an hour times 30 hours a week, minus bus fare. Community college tuition payments scheduled around 3 part-time jobs. The studio apartment with the leaking ceiling and the second-hand futon I proudly bought for $40. "You really live like this?" Mom had asked during her only visit. I sweeping over my carefully arranged thrift store furniture. The spreadsheet continued. Monthly savings transfers starting at $200 and growing to $300 as my certifications brought better opportunities. Years of careful planning, every extra penny funneled toward my dream of home ownership. A knock at the door interrupted me. Through the new security camera feed courtesy of Grandpa, I saw Mrs. Henderson from 2 doors down. "Thought you might need lunch," she said, holding up a paper bag. "And Gary's taking the 6 p.m. watch shift today." The neighbors had quietly organized an informal surveillance rotation since Aunt Victoria's Mercedes became a regular fixture on our street. Their support felt like a shield in the difficult days that followed. One Tuesday afternoon, a breaking news notification popped up. Brooke had given an interview to the local paper titled "Sister Disputes Family Legacy." The article featured her posed artistically in her former studio apartment surrounded by half-finished canvases. My phone rang almost immediately. It was Marcus. "I saw the article," he said without preamble. "Got those account records you asked about, the family investment they claimed I owed them." Funny how the numbers matched Aunt Victoria's foreclosure exactly. Later that week at Whole Foods, the automatic doors slid open and I froze. Brooke stood by the organic produce section, designer sunglasses perched on her head. Too late to retreat, she had spotted me. "Well, if it isn't the family trader," she announced loudly enough for nearby shoppers to turn their heads. I focused on selecting tomatoes, keeping my voice steady. "Hello, Brooke. You always thought you were better than us," she hissed, stepping closer. "With your precious spreadsheets and your boring job. You know what that house could be. An amazing art cafe concept. People would love it." I met her eyes. "And how would you handle the mortgage? Property taxes?" She waved dismissively. "Obviously, that part would still be your responsibility since you're so good with money." Her lip curled. Unlike some of us who actually pursued our passions, the store manager appeared. Is everything all right? Brooke's voice rose dramatically. My own sister is abandoning her family. I left my cart and walked calmly toward the exit as Brooke's performance echoed behind me. The manager caught my eye with a knowing look that said, "We all know what's really happening here, back home." I spread out the documents Grandpa had delivered. They showed my parents paying off Brooke's $90,000 student loans in full, plus a $25,000 business loan for her failed pottery studio. Their own mortgage-free property deed was there too. And buried in old emails was the truth. Time to teach Alex a lesson about family obligation, Aunt Victoria had written, before she gets too independent. My hands shook as I compiled court exhibits. The room spun slightly with too many memories crowding in. I was 5 years old again, watching Mom remove my crayon drawing from the refrigerator. Brooke needs space for her new watercolor. A gentle knock sounded. Grandpa entered without waiting, carrying a weathered photo album. "Found these in the attic," he said, settling into the chair beside me. "Your grandmother kept everything." The photos told a different story. Me at every minimum wage job proudly holding my first paychecks. Perfect attendance certificates. My community college graduation with Grandma beaming beside me. "She saw you," Grandpa said softly. "She knew exactly what you were building. Those textbooks you thought just showed up at the campus bookstore." That was her. Tears blurred my vision as I stood before the bathroom mirror the night before court, practicing my statement. The voice that came out sounded stronger than I felt. "I am not responsible for supporting adult family members who refuse to support themselves." I straightened my navy blazer purchased on sale last year and recorded meticulously in my budget. The security cameras blinked steadily. Evidence binders stood ready, each document telling its own truth. Aunt Victoria's Mercedes cruised past again, but I didn't flinch. Some sacrifices strengthen us even as they break our hearts. Sometimes the hardest boundaries are the ones we need most. I touched a small photo of Grandma I would carry tomorrow. Her eyes twinkled with the pride she never spoke aloud. She understood the price of independence. Now it was my turn to prove I was worth her investment. Tomorrow I would tell my truth. Tonight I would fortify my walls not with brick and mortar, but with 15 years of carefully documented sacrifice and the quiet strength of those who believe in earning their own way. On the morning of the hearing, the courthouse steps gleamed in the bright Seattle sun as I adjusted my grip on the leather document case, a graduation gift from Grandma. Now carrying the weight of 15 years of receipts and records. Each step felt deliberate and grounding. The glass doors reflected my image. Navy blazer, pressed slacks, minimal jewelry, professional, prepared. A far cry from the trembling 16-year-old who once visited the courthouse for work papers. "Oh, perfect timing." Brooke's voice rang across the marble lobby. My family formed a coordinated tableau, all wearing matching white bled first t-shirts under sport coats and cardigans. Mom dabbed at carefully smudged mascara while Dad's attorney arranged papers with theatrical precision. Aunt Victoria caught my eye, lips curving into a familiar smirk. Last chance to avoid embarrassing the family, dear. I kept walking, heels clicking steadily against the marble. The security guard nodded as I passed through the metal detector. My heartbeat stayed steady despite the weight of their stares. The courtroom felt smaller than expected. Wood panels absorbed sound, creating a bubble of focused silence. I arranged my exhibits with practiced efficiency, each tab color-coded and annotated. The same methodology that earned eye rolls at family dinners now served as armor. "All rise." Judge Martinez entered, her quick assessment taking in both sides. Her gaze lingered on the matching shirts before settling on my stack of motions. "Interesting filing," she commented, scanning the first page. "Please proceed." Dad's attorney rose, straightening his tie. "Your Honor, this case centers on familial obligation and traditional values. The Harper family invested approximately $300,000 in raising their daughter, as documented by USDA statistics. Objection," I stated clearly. "Irrelevant. Standard child care costs don't create legal debt." Sustained. Judge Martinez's pen tapped her notepad. "Counsel, proceed with actual claims." Mom took the stand first, tissue clutched dramatically. We sacrificed everything for our girls' private lessons, summer camps. Her voice broke. How can she abandon us now that she's successful? I stayed focused on my notes as she described my selfish career choices and rejection of family values. Each accusation landed softer than the last. Buffered by years of documented truth, Dad testified next, his authoritative boardroom voice filling the space. In our family, successful children support their parents. It's understood. And when was this agreement made? Judge Martinez interrupted. It's traditional, he stumbled. Implied, Your Honor, I began my cross-examination. Did you provide similar support for Brooke's education? Objection irrelevant. I'll allow it, Judge Martinez said. Answer the question. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Brooke needed help pursuing her artistic gifts. Please review Exhibit C. I directed. Bank statements showed $90,000 in student loan payments for Brooke's fine arts degree, plus $25,000 for her pottery studio. Brooke's testimony came next, tears flowing on cue. The house would be perfect for my healing art cafe concept. I'd let her keep a room, of course, and the mortgage. Property taxes. Judge Martinez asked, Well, Alex is good with money stuff. Brooke waved dismissively. She'd handle that part. The judge's eyebrow rose. What's your current employment status? I'm between projects. Brooke sniffed. My art requires emotional space. I stood for my testimony, spreading out 15 years of pay stubs, rent receipts, and college transcripts. I began working at 15. Your Honor, every job documented, every penny accounted for, including parental support. The judge asked, None received. I presented bank statements. I paid my own way through community college while working 3 jobs. The down payment for my house came from 15 years of careful saving. She's twisting things. Aunt Victoria burst out. Silence, Judge Martinez warned. She studied my documentation, then addressed my parents directly. Would you be making these demands if both daughters were struggling financially? The silence spoke volumes. I've heard enough. The judge closed her folder. This case lacks any legal merit whatsoever. Properties purchased independently remain independent. Case dismissed with prejudice. Aunt Victoria's outraged screech echoed off the marble as security escorted her out. Brooke collapsed dramatically in the hallway, but court personnel stepped carefully around her, faces neutral. You'll regret choosing money over family. She called after me. I paused at the courthouse doors, sunlight streaming through the glass. Behind me, Mom's voice rose. How could you do this to your family? But the weight that had pressed against my chest for months finally lifted. Through the window, I spotted Grandpa's truck idling at the curb. His steady presence reminded me that real family builds you up instead of tearing you down. You okay, kid? He asked as I climbed in. I watched my biological family huddled on the courthouse steps, their matching shirts a bright blur in the rearview mirror. I think I finally am. Your grandmother would be proud, he said softly. She always said you had the strength to build your own path. The familiar streets looked different, somehow clearer, like after a storm. Each carefully earned mile brought me closer to home. My home now protected by truth, law, and the quiet power of standing firm. The security system chimed softly as I entered my home, my legally protected home now. 3 days had passed since the courtroom victory, and the quiet already felt different. Not exactly peaceful, but fortified. My phone buzzed. Another notification from Brooke's GoFund. My sister stole my future. Help an artist heal. The fabricated story made my stomach clench. After supporting me through art school, my sister betrayed our family's trust. Now I'm facing homelessness while she hoards wealth in an empty house. Please help me create my healing art cafe. I screenshot it for my attorney, then silenced the notifications. The lies stung less than the calculated manipulation. She knew exactly how to play the victim. Did you see the email? Marcus texted. My cousin, usually quiet on family matters, had become an unexpected ally. Uncle Edward and Aunt Marlene really outdid themselves. The mass email sent to our extended family that morning detailed my cruel betrayal of family values and selfish materialism. Every paragraph was crafted to isolate me. I saw it. I replied. Seems familiar. They did the same to you when your business took off. That night the security system chirped again. Motion detected. Through the app I watched Aunt Victoria's Mercedes creep past my house for the third time. At midnight the camera caught her approaching my front door, spray paint can glinting in the porch light. You ungrateful little. The rest was lost as she realized she was being recorded. The paint can disappeared into her designer bag as she hurried away. But not before leaving a bright red streak across my new door. The responding officer arrived quickly. We've got clear footage, he said, reviewing the video. Would you like to press charges? I thought of family dinners, holiday gatherings, and the complex web of loyalty and obligation. I need to file for a restraining order. Next week the courthouse felt different. Where fear once lived, determination now took root. The clerk processed my paperwork efficiently, eyebrows rising at the family names. Judge Martinez's courtroom again, she noted. She remembered the context. The temporary order came through immediately, backed by the officer's testimony and security footage. Each signature felt like both victory and loss, protecting my future while severing my past. They tried this with others, Mrs. Chen, our old neighbor, told me over coffee. Her letter had arrived yesterday detailing 20 years of observed family dynamics. Your father demanded family support from his brother to before the cancer took him. Your aunt, she's always been jealous of your mother's marriage. Uses money to control people. Grandpa filled in more gaps as we worked on his truck together. Your grandmother set aside college money for both you girls, he said quietly. Your parents redirected it. Called it investing in Brooke's gift. His hand stayed steady on the wrench, but his voice carried old anger. That's why she left you the house money separately in her will. The permanent restraining order hearing arrived too quickly and not soon enough. The matching shirts were gone, replaced by subtle designer labels and practiced humility. Their new attorney spoke of reconciliation, portraying me as vindictive and unbalanced. Your Honor, I stood, evidence organized with familiar precision. I'll let the facts speak. Security footage played. Police reports detailed workplace disruptions. My family claiming fake medical emergencies to bypass security. The GoFund screenshots. The email campaign. Enough. Judge Martinez interrupted. Restraining order granted and expanded to include digital harassment. Any violation will result in immediate consequences. That evening, the local paper ran the story. Family property lawsuit dismissed. Restraining order granted. Brooke's GoFund disappeared. Reported for fraud. Messages trickled in from extended family support. Similar stories. Quiet solidarity. Your cousin Rachel called. Grandpa told me over dinner. Says she's proud of you. Others are starting to speak up about their experiences too. I watched him season his potatoes with methodical care, the same attention to detail he taught me in his garage while rebuilding engines and sharing life wisdom. Does it get easier? I ask. Choosing yourself. He set down his fork. Sometimes family is what you build, not what you're born into. Your grandmother knew that. Why do you think she left you those tools in her will? Later, I completed my nightly security routine, doors locked, cameras active, systems armed. The red paint was gone from the door, but its ghost remained. A reminder of boundaries earned and enforced out in my journal. Words flowed. I protected what I earned, but I'm mourning what never was. The family I wanted existed only in my hopes. The family I have now, the ones who choose truth over comfort. Growth over control, they're the foundation for something real. My phone lit up with another text from Marcus. Dinner next week. Rachel and her kids want to meet at that new place downtown. I smiled, typing back, count me in. The security system chimed softly. All secure. Through the window I watched the sunset paint my garden in gentle golds. Grandmother's roses, transplanted from her yard, bloomed stubbornly against the fence. Some things grow stronger when forced to root deeper, finding nourishment in unexpected soil. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight in this house I had earned and defended. I felt anchored in truth. Some victories carry the weight of grief, but they clear the ground for new growth, new connections. and new definitions of family. I turned off the lights, leaving one on for the porch, a habit learned from Grandma. Not all traditions need to be broken. Some, like her wisdom and strength, become the foundation for building something better. 2 months had passed since the restraining order, and my weekends had found a new rhythm. Maple's tags jingled as my rescue mud, a half golden retriever, half probably everything else, trotted to the back door. She knew Mrs. Chen next door would be out gardening, ready with treats and gentle conversation. "Just a minute, girl." I checked the security app out of habit. The system was still active, but I had scaled back the notifications. No more midnight alerts. No more documenting every passing car. The cameras remained silent sentinels rather than constant reminders of threat. The workshop smell hit me as I entered the garage. Sawdust and engine oil mingled with fresh coffee. Grandpa was already there, setting up for our Sunday project. We were building a dining room table big enough for the growing circle of people who actually wanted to be here. "Morning, kiddo." He arranged clamps with mathematical precision. "Thought we'd finish the leg joints today." Perfect timing. I handed him his coffee black with 2 sugars. "Thomas and Rachel are bringing the kids over later. They can help sand." We worked in comfortable silence, measuring twice and cutting once. Through the open garage door, I watched neighborhood children chase each other past my fence. Their parents used to hurry them along when the lawsuit made headlines. Now they waved, letting the kids stop to pet Maple through the slats. "Saw your father yesterday," Grandpa said suddenly, testing a joint's fit. "At Henderson's Hardware." "He's aged 10 years, I'd say." "Both of them have." He adjusted his grip on the plane. Marlene was there too, kept looking at throw pillows like they held life's answers. I remembered the designer pillows in their perfect house, arranged just so. The way Brooke would rearrange them when stressed, while I tracked our family spending in secret spreadsheets. "Heard Brooke's in Oregon now," I offered. "Some artist collective running again." Grandpa shook his head. "Your aunt's not doing well either. Blood pressure through the roof." According to the gossip at church, the wood grain beneath my fingers told a clearer story. Growth rings marking seasons of plenty and want. Strength built through adversity. We shaped it carefully, honoring its natural character while creating something new later. As the autumn sun warmed the backyard, friends gathered for what had become our tradition, the Sunday potluck. Thomas's kids chased Maple while Rachel set up lawn games. My coworker Sarah, who stood by me through the worst of the lawsuit, arranged flowers from her garden. "Hard to believe it's been a year," she said, stepping back to admire her work. "A year since you bought this house." The memories surfaced, empty rooms echoing with possibility, then threat. Now every space held purpose: the home office with promotion-worthy projects, the workshop where Grandpa taught me patience, the garden where Mrs. Chen shared wisdom about more than just plants. Grandpa rose, tapping his glass for attention. "To this home," he said simply, "and the woman who built it, not just with lumber and nails, but with courage and truth." The toast rippled through my chosen family neighbors. Friends, the cousins who chose connection over convenience. Even Maple barked her approval, tail wagging as the kids sneaked her bits of hot dog. That evening, after the dishes were done and leftovers distributed, I joined Grandpa on the porch swing. Maple sprawled at our feet, worn out from playing referee to the kids' soccer game. "You didn't just protect your house," he said quietly. "You defended your worth." Through the windows, I could see the dining room table we were building, still unfinished, but already promising. Like everything worthwhile, it took time and attention to detail. "Some prices are worth paying for peace," I replied. The stars emerged as night settled, casting gentle light on my transformed home. Inside, Sarah and Rachel were setting up board games, their laughter drifting through the screen doors. Thomas helped his youngest with homework at my kitchen counter. Mrs. Chen's lights glowed next door, her silhouette visible as she watered her evening primrose. My phone buzzed. A text from the young analyst I was mentoring at work. She was leaving her financially abusive marriage and needed advice on building credit. "You showed me it's possible," she wrote. "I thought of that terrified woman who first walked into Judge Martinez's courtroom, clutching papers and desperate certainty. She was still here, that core of steel strengthened by fire. But now she was surrounded by people who recognized its worth and added their own strength to the alloy. The security system chimed softly, all secure. But the sound no longer triggered anxiety. Instead, it reminded me of boundaries earned and kept, a peace protected and shared. Maple's head lifted at approaching footsteps. Just the neighbor's teenager coming to ask if she could walk her tomorrow. Same time as usual. She called. We're working on her leash manners. Perfect. I answered another small thread in the tapestry of normal life. Woven from trust and consistency. Grandpa squeezed my shoulder as he headed inside to claim his favorite armchair, the one we refinished together, now permanently placed in my living room. His tools lived in my garage now. His wisdom lived in my daily choices. Inside, the game night was getting competitive. Outside, crickets tuned up for their evening symphony. And here on my porch, in this space between what was and what is, I breathed in the peace I had built. Some say family is who you're born to. But I've learned it's who you choose to become and who chooses to witness that becoming with love and respect. Every laugh from my living room, every wave from a neighbor, every shared meal, project, and quiet moment, these are the true measures of home. The stars wheeled overhead, constant as truth and bright as possibility. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. But tonight, in this house I earned, defended, and filled with genuine connection, I was exactly where I needed to be. What defines family, after all? Is it blood and obligation? Or is it the people who celebrate your growth while respecting your boundaries? In my experience, it's the latter that builds the strongest foundations. A full year had now passed since the terrifying morning when the certified letter arrived. The maple trees lighting my street had cycled through another season. And so had I. The house felt more like home than ever, every room lived in. Every corner filled with memories of chosen family rather than inherited obligation. I stood in the kitchen again, morning sunlight streaming through the same windows. But this time there were no half-unpacked boxes. Instead, fresh flowers from Mrs. Chen's garden sat on the counter, and the smell of Grandpa's famous blueberry pancakes drifted from the stove. Maple waited patiently by the back door for her morning walk. Tail thumping against the floor, my phone buzzed with a group text from the Sunday potluck crew: Sarah, Rachel, Thomas, and a few new neighbors who had joined our growing circle. Tables finally finished. Bring dessert. I smiled and typed back quickly. The dining room table we built together now sat proudly in the center of the house, ready to host more laughter, more stories, and more proof that family isn't something you're stuck with, it's something you create. Looking back, the lawsuit, the betrayal, and the long fight taught me lessons no amount of money or comfort could buy. I learned that real strength isn't loud or dramatic, it's quiet, consistent, and built one documented dollar and one firm boundary at a time. I learned that protecting your peace sometimes means walking away from people who only see your success as a resource to claim. And most importantly, I learned that the family you choose can heal the wounds left by the family you were given. Grandpa appeared in the doorway, wiping his hands on a dish towel. Pancakes are ready, kiddo. Come eat before they get cold. I joined him at the new table, the wood smooth under my fingers, wood we had measured, cut, and shaped with care. As we ate, he told me stories about Grandma and the quiet way she had supported me all those years. I shared updates from work and the new mentoring program I had started for young women learning financial independence. Later that afternoon, as the sun warmed the backyard, I watched Maple chase a butterfly while kids from the neighborhood played near the fence. Mrs. Chen waved from her garden. Sarah texted a photo of the flowers she had dropped off earlier. Everything felt right. The red streak on the front door was long gone, painted over months ago, but the memory served as a permanent reminder. Boundaries matter. Truth matters. Earning your own way matters. I walked through the house one last time that evening, turning off lights and checking doors out of habit. The security system chimed its familiar all-secure tone. In my pocket, Grandma's small photo still rested, a quiet talisman of the woman who believed in me before I fully believed in myself. As I stepped onto the porch for a final breath of night air, the stars shone bright above the quiet suburban street. The house stood solid behind me, paid for, protected, and filled with love that was freely given rather than demanded. Some sacrifices break your heart, but they also reveal who truly stands with you. Some battles cost more than money, but they buy something priceless: freedom, self-respect, and the chance to build a life on your own terms.